right, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get some arms started. Now, I've begun to notice what I would call let's just see, like the word would be an increased fleetingness of the pump, right? So what I mean by that is, I'm going to be, let's rewind time a couple of months back to when I was, fully bulked up, 900, fucking 1,000 grams of carbs per day. Well, guess what? I'm going to be pumped for a while, right? When I do arms, and I would do all of triceps first, and then all of biceps second, well, at the end of that lift, my triceps are still fully pumped, for the most part. Just from residual, you just get more pumped, man. More fluids in your system to work with. You've got more, let's see, what's the word you can describe it? You just got more carbs, you got more glycogen. Like, it's all adding up to a really good lift. Now, dieted down, flatter, not so full of carbs and water and everything. Well, what's that going to do? I don't have as many fluids to work with, So if I'm not rocking, I don't know how many extra potential ounce. I mean, shit. I'm sure there'd be a way to calculate it with like a 3D scanner, but for me, probably a chest pump is my craziest. To go from pumped to unpumped, or unpumped to pumped rather, I mean, it's got to be ounces worth of fluid of just blood and sarcoplasm, all sorts of everything else in between, glycogen, that just fill it up. And that has to come from somewhere, So when you're bulked up and you got a whole bunch of food in your system, that's where it's going to come from. Dieted down, not so much. So I'm still trying to optimize the amount of fluids I've got at my disposal to move around, facilitate a really good pump. And that's just from being hydrated, right? That's from making sure I drink enough water. But plan for today is I'm going to do a bit of a back and forth push down, curl, maybe a combo. I'm not exactly sure what kind. Because sometimes I'll do 3 tricep movements, 3 bicep movements, 2 tricep movements, 2 bicep movements, 3, 2, 1, and then a superset of both at the end. And usually that works out pretty well. But sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I still end up doing all tris, then all bis, all biceps, then all triceps. Sometimes an immediate back and forth where every movement is a superset, where I do a push down and then immediately do a curl with no rest, and then count that as like one superset and then rest in between. Like, there's a lot of ways to go at it, and I couldn't really say that one is objectively better than the other. It's just different, So on some days I might like doing all tris, all bis, and other days I might maybe want to speed up the lift and then do kind of a combination sort of thing where it's push down, curl, push down, curl, push down, curl, which does end up being a little bit more efficient, right? But, today, at least as far as I can tell right now, before I've actually gotten into the gym and warmed up, it's going to be definitely a quicker lift in terms of try by, so that they both work towards being fully pumped at the same time. And then at the end of the lift, when I push down, I can say, all right, that is a pumped ass set of arms. Bis as pumped as I can get them right now, and tris as pumped as I can get them in tandem, right, in freaking unison. And it's up there, right? If you were to ask me what's my favorite body part to hit, I think the actual act of the workout, I'm pretty balanced. Like, I think I like them all. Like, it'd be really hard for me to pick one to skip. But in terms of pump enjoyment, honestly, I don't know, man. They're all up there, right? It's not like it's a landslide, but arms and chest are definitely peak. Because for me to see myself with slightly bigger arms than normal and a slightly bigger chest than normal, sometimes kind of both at once, because during chest your arms do get a lot of work and they get a little bit of a kind of residual pump. Well, it's just cool, right? A leg pump I certainly like. I like it much more when I'm super lean, but dude, arms, and that's something where I at least want someone to try a dedicated arm day for a few lifts, because sometimes a dedicated arm day gets hated on. Sometimes people say, well, you shouldn't spend all that time doing arms. You should do a push day or a back or a pull day. And look, if you have done arm days before and then your conclusion is, okay, I don't really like arm days, that's different. If you've never done arm days and you're just like listening to what people say about them and kind of basing your opinion off of that instead of experience, that's where I've got a problem, right? That's where I'm going to say, at least try it for yourself and then decide, you know? Because then at least, rather than saying, oh, a dedicated arm day isn't good, like, you know, there's nothing to back that up. There's no experience to explain why. You can actually say, yeah, you know, I tried it for a while. I want to do a full push day. I want to do a full pull day. Just, that's what I like. And if that's what you like, you're good. You know, I'd be doing chest and tries and back and bis if I really liked doing chest and tries together and back and bis together. But, you know, I just kind of don't. Chest and tries, I don't really mind. But back and bis, I don't like so much that I just don't really, I'm just not really into it. But that's not to say I'm never going to do it again, because I probably will, just to try it. And who knows, maybe next time I do back and bis, I'll like it so much it's going to push me onto a push-pull legs kick instead of, you know, how I've been doing things so far, which I am absolutely not opposed to. You know, no lifter goes to the same gym twice, because he's not the same lifter and it's not the same gym. So as time passes, maybe shit you didn't like, now you will. Maybe stuff you really liked, now you don't really feel, you know. But if you don't try to keep up with those changes, either just physically or just mentally, or based on your preference or how much you learn from watching videos, you're doing yourself a disservice, you know, because you know, you're going to change. And every day you're going to feel a little bit different. So I want to come into the gym with a fresh, open idea for what I want to do, because I might not know what I want to start with. Maybe today my elbows are just like golden, I'm feeling super strong, and maybe I want to slap 3 plates on the side of a stack and do super heavy loaded push downs. You know, maybe not, but who knows. Or maybe I'm going to say, ooh, my elbows are a little tender right now. Maybe I should back off. Maybe I should do light squeezing work, things like that, you know. And it's where you never know until you actually get started, right? You never know where you're going to drop until you see the map. But I think nothing else to say. He's got his own workout. You know, I'm not in control of his training. He's just as, you know, independent as me in that sense, where he just likes to do his own thing. And I'm not going to get in the way of that. And that's how we roll. But let's just go get started. All right, I've got a plan. I just wrestle with this big one. Nah, I'm just kidding. I really do have something picked though. All right, so I'll do some fancy pants splicing so that I'm doing both of these sets at once. Kind of, you know, speed up the process almost. But single arm push downs, I think I'm just going to do total failure each side. So right arm to total failure, then left arm to total failure. Take a couple seconds, you know, like, you know, gather myself as I walk around, and then do some preacher curls. Very squeezing, burning. But let's just hit them both at once. One notch heavier. Oh my gosh. Wow, one more. Ooh, yeah. I'm just matching the left side's reps to the right. One more of each. And then I'll pick a new pair of movements. Okay. Ooh. Oof. Ooh, okay. All right, let's change it up. Let's change it up. What, two? I got an idea. I'm thinking overhead and then a very strange version of a curl. But you've seen me do it before. Some people like this with a rope. For me, the rope feels a little strange. Easy bar does the trick. Even a V bar would work. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's do some bicep pull downs next. Oh, yeah. All right, so even though it's basically a pull down, I'm trying my best not to use any lats, and it's all bicep. So once I start feeling my lats, that's my cue. Biceps are cooked. One more of each of those, and then we'll move on. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, one more of those pull downs and then I'll move on to the last pair of things. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay, we're getting there.
Maybe like 6.
I know where the next push down is going to be, though, that's for sure. The next curl, not so certain. This will be good. Pull over machine push downs. And it freaking works. All right. slightly unorthodox. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's do a dumbbell curl. Blue. Blue. Oh, you're sleepy. Let's finish this up with some 60-pounders. And it's heavy, but it's not like pull my bicep forearm tender heavy. It's just a good heavy one. And it's kind of going to be the counter for those preacher curls in the beginning. But if it ends up being like way too heavy, I'm going to get like 6. I'll just drop it and do a drop set to the 40s. There's no way to lose as long as I bring it here, is how I'm looking at it. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Oh, let's see how we're looking. All right. There we go. Overall feeling highly pumped. There is there's barely no finger to shoulder contact, which is what I'm aiming for. So let's get a little backwards arm reveal, just because it's cool for me to see my own like reflection through the camera on how we're looking. There we go. All right, let's start the back double by. Oh man. Yeah, in terms of just overall freaking like arm floppiness, that's what I want to see. Now, not much in the game of like tricep striations, but just, kind of a little estimate of what the cuts are going to end up looking like. I mean, I'm on track for something, that's for sure. Talking long head, short head, a little more separation on the left side than the right, and that's just an insertion kind of deal. But that's what I call a good arm day. So let's freaking wrap this shit up and get in the car. There we go. All right, I know somebody had a good lift. His ass was just sleeping in the back. That was good. That was good. A little more on the simple side of things, but it's kind of how these lifts become. My biggest concern is have a good lift, bring it, and then don't overdo it food-wise, which right now isn't much of a challenge, but it's getting gradually more, let's just say more real, right? Like, it's not that I'm going to sit here and chow down on 10,000 calories right now off the rip and say, oh, I'm so sick of dieting, but it will get its way there. You know what I'm saying? It's basically just a truth, right? In a real deficit where you're using internal energy stores for burning your body fat, getting a little bit leaner, odds are your stomach's probably going to be giving you signals where it's like, dude, you're freaking hungry, or giving you that cue to want to go eat something, and you got to fight that, and on average you have to be feeling a little bit more on the hungrier side than full side, and it's just kind of how it is. You can make it easier on yourself, right? Get a bunch of sugar-free drinks on the regular, or just carry around like a jug, Crystal Light style, or any other kind of substitute you might like. constantly drink that. Usually for me, tons of fluids do act a little bit as, I mean, maybe not a hunger suppressant per se, but it at least gives me that kind of like stimulus of having something that tastes good, and then, you know, having things move into my stomach, right? It's not food, it's just water, but, you know, it kind of does it for me, right? So the longer, I mean, honestly, it's probably going to take a little bit before this diet gets hard for me per se, you know, because I'm not in a rush. I am in no rush because I want to be extra crazy ass lean in so what month is it right now? September. So that means I had a lot of trouble remembering my months when I was a kid. It took me a while to actually get the hang of it, but October, November, December, January, February. Yeah, I got about 5 months to really bring it, you know, and honestly that might even be a little longer than necessary, you know, but I want to get on a very good track now because, I mean, for one, I want to be lean coming into next year, and then 2026 is the year of a lean Sam. Like, I don't want to just instantly jump into a bulk because I think I'm kind of desensitizing my system to eating so much food, because I always just diet for a little bit and then start eating a bunch of food again. So I think it'll be a good break to stay on the leaner side next year to kind of totally get into a baseline and then see what off season looks like later on. So as much as I'm just going to get lean on my own because I like it, it's also in tandem with a certain bodybuilding show, right? So I want to be extra lean for that, much leaner than I was the first time. That's really my biggest concern. And the way that I'm going to do that is with this diet being a bit more gradual. I mean, I was pretty consistent with the last one, but even more consistent. And then by giving myself a little bit more time, I'm going to get a bit leaner, because I probably could have had another month in me for that last diet. I kind of overdid it with my cardio a little bit, because in my mind I was like, nobody else is going to do 2 hours of cardio a day. All right, I'm going to do it. And I think it was a little much, right? You want higher activity levels and lower food intake to increase this gap of your calorie deficit. But if your activity levels get too high on a lower food intake, you're kind of just going to start stressing out your system. You know, you kind of want them to be in a good equilibrium. So that's where I think getting to, I don't know, probably an hour a day, low intensity, steady state is about right. So maybe 30 minutes seated bike, 30 minutes treadmill. So 30 minutes in the morning on the bike, 30 minutes treadmill after a workout. And 30 minutes in the treadmill is very low impact. It's not huge. It's not insane, difficult cardio or anything. That'll probably be what I get up to, and then that will be it. I'll limit myself to make that the activity, and then leverage the rest of the deficit by the amount of food that I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, by giving myself a bit more time, I am hoping I can use it accordingly to make the adjustments that I want to, so I can really kind of get myself into the freak factor that I hope I'll be able to reach. But as long as I'm freakier than last time, well, then I'm good. That's the whole point, you know? And as a little bit of a gauge, I was, how I looked in the gym the week before the first show in Vegas. That was a cool look. That was a lean, but also kind of full Sam. And then for me to actually compete in the amateur classic physique at my height, I really had to suck down. I had to freaking sweat out an extra 9 pounds of water. Like, not awesome. And I'm not talking physically, like, I felt fine. But to lose that much water in that period of time kind of just shrunk me down. You know, so it wasn't as though I lost muscle per se, but the muscle I did have, it wasn't as full as it could have been. You know, so that's, but half of that is just a necessity, right? I waited a little while to do my first show, so I really had to push it. And for some, like a certain Urs Kelsinski, I mean, shit, for him, he did much better, well, at least as me just looking at him on his own, like he looked like a total beast at this last open bodybuilding show in Italy. And now he's on track to freaking hit Mr. Olympia Open. I mean, this is going to be something to see, for sure. But my, yeah, so as long as I can get crazy diced, leaner than ever, then that's really what my goal is, you know. And I don't need to rush into it. I've got some time, And I want to make this a very gradual and solid diet. Blue. Oh, good boy. He's not so concerned. He doesn't have to be lean ass in shape. He's good. He's a good weight now. He was like 120. Freaking, you know, hips and ribs. Ugh. But we got him fat good, so now he's up at a good fighting weight of, I think, 140 something or other. But yeah, he's, dude, when this guy's got the zoomies running around, it's, let's just say it's something to see. But I'm gonna go home, get some food in my system, and then I'll see you for what I don't know. Tomorrow might actually, I know I've been saying this, but tomorrow might actually be a rest day. Because I can tell my legs are still tender from the last leg day I did. So maybe that's the plan. I'll see. But either way, I'll see you for whatever it ends up being.